to work for the University of Arizona in the Grand County Cooperative Extension Office. Today we're going to talk about canning. To can, you need a pressure canner. That's what this is, and it has a pressure gauge. Some of these pressure canners come with a weighted gauge. You need a trivet that goes in the bottom that the jars sit on to hold them up off of the floor of the canner. You'll need a gallon pitcher. This is the amount of water needed for this size of a canner so that it can reach the correct pressure. Jar grabbers, the funnest part. The wobbler that goes on the steam releaser on your pressure canner. And a timer. This is a lifesaver. When you get ready to can, depends on the product that you're going to can, and today we're going to can green chili. You decide the size jars that you want. This is a half pint jar, and this is a pint jar. The University of New Mexico has done the research on canning green chili in a pressure canner, and they only recommend going as large as a pint jar. This is green chili that I have already had roasted and peeled. I went to a gentleman here in our county and asked him to roast me a bag of hot chili. I asked him to roast it for 1 minute longer than he normally does. It helps it peel better if I'll have him roast it longer. He placed it in a plastic bag. I brought my ice chest and he placed it in that for me. I then let it seep for 4 hours. At that point, I took it home, sat on my front porch, filled my bag with water from my garden hose, and shook my plastic bag and stirred it around. Then my chilies peeled easier. I turn them upside down and peel them and pull off the ends, and that's as much as the chili that I de-seed. After I get done doing that, I then bring my chili in and I place it on a cutting board. And on my cutting board, I salt my chili. I just lightly salt it. I then gather it up. I then stir it around so that the salt gets on most of the chili. I gather it up and I start cutting it. And I rough chop my chili to put in my jars. Now, a secret that I learned is I'll buy jars in the case, and I'll take the case and I cut a line down one side of my bag, usually open. After cutting a line in my box, I fold my plastic back over the top of it and I wash my jars. You do not boil or heat the seals anymore. They are silicone and they are ready to go like they are. I take my jar and I'll put chili in my jar, leaving a 1-inch headspace. And these are half pint jars. I determine the amount of chili that I'm going to use by what it is that I'm going to do with it. Also by the number of people that live in my home. I have 2 of us that live in our home now, so we use jelly jars, half pint jars, and pint jars. Now that we have all the chili in the jars, you can tell that I didn't pack my chili in. I put it in there so that the water that goes into it will get around it and keep my chili plump. If I do not add water to it, then my chili tends to become very flat and they get a little bitter. I have a liter of water and I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of vinegar to it. This helps also preserve the chili in its form better. Mix it in, stir it up, and fill my jars. I let the water work down between the chili as it settles. I can use the other end of my spoon and help it get down in there. I then take a paper towel. I dip it in hot water and I rinse off my jar. I turn my paper towel over on the dry side and clean the jar. And I throw it away. Now this is my seal, and I don't touch this part. I flip it onto the jar and finger tight. Let's do it again. A paper towel, dipped in water, clean the rim, dry it, flip on my seal with my ring, and it's finger tight. Remove the ring, wipe the jar off, put a label on it, and store it without your ring on it. I hope you've learned something. I had a great time doing this with you. We'll look forward to doing more things. Remember, I'm Cindy Pearson. I am at the Graham County Cooperative Extension Office. My phone number there is 928-428-2611, and I like to can.